I got the Don King alfalfa thing going with my hair today. Just got out of the shower. Can you tell? Anyway, here's the headlines of the St. Pete Times this August 1st, 2011. Deal on debt, it reads. You might hear a little noise outside as I record this. The people working on the sidewalks are still doing their work. Welcome to Florida in the middle of the summer. You get delays by rain and you get delays by people just, not getting off their asses. But I was listening to WMNF and their talk show hosted by Rob Lorai this morning. Very good talk show. It's one of the last vestiges of what talk radio used to be in the Tampa Bay market. They have an hour-long show. It's open to all opinions. And if you have an opinion that's not in tune with the host, you don't get browbeaten. You get browbeaten by the other callers if they don't agree. But such as it is. Deal looks like it is done in the House. Deal looks like it is done in amongst leaders of this country, not the House. The House is going to be the biggest nut to crack. As I record this now, we're down to 36 and a half hours before the country defaults, and it looks like the country is not going to default at this time. But two things have to happen still. Actually, three. The Senate has to approve it. The House has to approve it, and Obama has to sign it. But the reason why I brought up WMNF, a question was asked if you would change one law in one federal law. Yeah, see, this area is a mess today. Like I said, I'm looking like Don King or alfalfa. I'll get combed in a minute. What would you change? And an idea I have would go after term limits. I call it the move up or move out rule. Say Joe Schmo from Iowa wants to be a member of Congress and he wants to run for House of Representatives. Well, fine. The rule I would change is you are only eligible for 2 terms, 2 full terms. Once you serve 2 full terms, you have to either move up, meaning you have to run for the United States Senate or the presidency, or you have to move out. You could go back to your local region, your local city, and run for, a state or a local office there. But to be on Capitol Hill, you would have to aspire yourself past the House into the Senate. Now, say you ran in the United States House, and after your first term, you ran successfully, and you're now a United States Senator. Well, first off, you would not get the 2 full terms. Remember, it's move up or move out. If you're moving down, you can't move up. So you get to be a member of the United States Senate. And right there, you would have, again, under my system, 2 term limit. You have to serve 2 full terms. Once you do that, you have to move up and be President of the United States. You could run, now, when you move up, you could run upwards many times as you need to move up. But if you don't want to move up, you move out. And I think a move up or a move out kind of term limitation clause would create much more interest in primaries that most of the voting public does not pay attention to. Because say you have a state like Florida where you got like about 20 or so congressional districts, you would have, let's say, 10 aside trying to aspire to be the senator, and you would have the current senator trying to hold on to his or her job. His or her job, I said whore. Didn't mean that, folks. Freudian slip. But it would create interest in the Senate races. It would actually create interest in the House races, too. Because you would have more candidates running for those primary slots. And it would probably force a change in the presidential primary system because you would have all of these senators trying to run for president on the Democratic or Republican side or whatever party gets created. Now, if you have such a system, you would probably have to get rid of the state-by-state primaries for president and you'd have to have a national primary. The conventions have not been important in politics since 1976. Look how little media attention is paid to them now. Of course, next year we got the DNC convention in Charlotte, and we got the Republican convention in Tampa. But conventions, they're good for what they're good for. I would have a national primary system where you'd have all the candidates running at the same time, and you'd have a run, like say, hey, you have all the national primary would be taking place in March. You take the top two on each side, Democrat, Republican, or whatever third party comes about, and I think eventually with all these moves on the budget and on the debt ceiling, you're going to see a third party eventually. You're already seeing it somewhat with the Tea Party within the Republican Party. But 2 months after the primaries, you would probably, like say May or June or something like that, you would have a runoff, a national runoff, to determine who the nominees are. And that gives them plenty of time to campaign. You have this decided by May or June. And in November, of course, you have the national election to determine who the president is. But you have a lot of career politicians in Washington, D.C. that are just happy where they are. Take my congressman, C.W. Bill Young, who has been our congressman here in the southern part of Pinellas County now, going back to the 70s. I saw a photo of him at the last broadcast of the former Channel 13 sports anchor. Now this goes back before Andy Hardy, for those of you who remember him before he passed away in the 90s. Salty Saul Fleischman. Retired, I would say, 74, 75, back when I was a very little kid. And there was a photo of Bill Young along with several local dignitaries bidding Salty Saul adieu. And he's been our representative going back to the 70s. And under this move up or move out system, eventually somebody like a Bill Young would have to aspire to be senator, or he could move back and be a Pinellas County commissioner or run for one of the local cities like St. Pete, Clearwater, Largo, whatever city he resides in. And he can do that without penalty. But once you serve 2 full terms, now say you're a member of the House, you get 1 full term, you lose, you could still run for that second term, but once you go to a higher office, like the U.S. Senate, you forfeit the right to run for a second term. And ditto if you're a senator that becomes president, well, if you did that in 1 term, you would have to forfeit the right to your second term. I just think it would create a lot more interest in the political game. And in an era where a lot of people think the politicians are corrupt, I think it would breathe some fresh air into the system. That's just my take. You're welcome to yours. This has been the Big Paulie video blog for August 1st, 2011. And I'll catch you again later. Bye-bye for now. Toodles.